Who else has to pay for my sins? This is quite a question, I think, and I'd like to explore this question a little bit in this video. Starting by saying that a pattern inside of any one of us creates sin. Now, of course, this seems like quite an abstract sentence, like, okay, what do you mean by that? But of course, I will explain it in this video, so don't worry. Everyone carries a pattern, and this pattern will cause pain in someone else. This is how I view it right now. Now, bear with me. I will explain everything. This pain varies from very little to very big, depending on the situation. In any case, usually it will create some hurt in someone else. And this pattern, where does it come from? It comes from pain. And it causes further pain. And all this, what I'm saying, it's how I see it right now. And of course, I know this is coming out of nowhere. So let me start off by explaining to you what do I mean with a pattern, and why is this causing sin. We always talk about sin like it's some very big gesture. If you sin, it's either you're doing drugs or you're killing someone or hurting someone physically, fighting someone. These kind of situations, we see them as sin. But actually, I think sin can be very small as well. It's very much lying on a spectrum. So I will get to that. First, what is a pattern? A pattern is a repetitive sequence. Things happen in the same way in a certain time frame, and we can see a pattern unfolding. If you look behind me, you see these structures going up and down. This is also a pattern, and we call this pattern mountains. Humans like patterns. We work with patterns because it can kind of predict things and make things easy to work with. But not everything always falls into the pattern. You see more far away, there's a cloud hanging above it right now. This is Mount Fuji. I am in Japan. Mount Fuji gets its own name because, it's also a structure which goes up and down, but it's kind of different than the other mountains, so it gets its own name. I don't know why I'm saying this. I just want to talk a little bit like, what is a pattern? So that is a pattern. Now, this is physical, structures going up and down. But the pattern doesn't always need to be physical. It can be mental, it can be emotional. It just depends on how it's happening and how it's unfolding. So a pattern can be physical, mental, emotional. Then let me state that every body physically carries a pattern. As an osteopath, I am confronted with this every day. I work with this every day. These patterns, usually they allow some strain to stay, some tension to stay in the same places over longer periods of time, causing discomfort, causing certain symptoms in people. And I work with this. I try to get this pattern of strain out. Usually this will diminish or dissolve the symptoms of a patient. Not always, but in a lot of cases this happens. It's not always physical. As an osteopath, I work really physically, but not always the pattern of strain is only physical. It can be mental, it can be emotional. It just depends on where the source is coming from this pattern. Is it a physical source, or is it a mental source, or is it an emotional source? It is trying to figure out where this is coming from. Okay, so everyone carries a pattern, and lately I've been discovering and seeing my pattern pretty vividly. I see it pretty clearly now. Of course, there's probably a lot I still don't see, but for what I can see now, I can make sense of it. I can see, okay, this is my pattern. So I will explain this understanding through explaining how my pattern is doing, I guess, is doing its thing. A pattern can be triggered. A pattern can be triggered, and my triggers, my triggers are mostly criticism, dissatisfaction, and control. You know, if someone has any criticism about me, it can trigger this pattern. If someone is dissatisfied with me, it can trigger this pattern. If I feel someone is trying to control me, doesn't even have to be them actually controlling me, but if I feel like someone is manipulating or controlling me, this pattern ignites. It sparks the flame, and it, you know, does its thing, like I said before. So the intensity of the trigger always depends on the context. It's not always the same trigger. It's not always the same intensity. You know, it matters who says this, which person says this to me, and what is the subject of this trigger. How much do I connect with this subject? How much does this subject mean to me? So the intensity of the trigger can vary, and the intensity of my pattern can also vary, but the pattern is always the same. So what is my pattern? Physically, when someone triggers my pattern, the same thing always happens. Now, the first thing is that my heartbeat goes up, and the intensity of the sensation of my heartbeat also goes up. This is probably very universal. You know, if you get a stressor, if you feel stressed, your heartbeat goes up. This is quite usual, but it's there in me, and it really, yeah, it's really intense. I can feel it really clearly now. But something more specifically, maybe for me, is that the tension in my upper belly around my solar plexus, if you know where that region is, the tension there also rises, and it gives me a sort of nauseating feeling, very like a this kind of feeling. Not nice, not nice. Usually, you know, you see me burping now. You see how I burp? Like, this is my pattern. I can't burp normally, which is very annoying, which is also an emotion I have to deal with. But anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. The tension there rises up. Another thing that happens is feeling like I'm sucked into my body, like I'm retracting, like this happens. It kind of feels like I'm distancing myself from the situation. All of these things, they are not really pleasant to experience, so it's discomforting. And the consequence of feeling this physical pattern, you know, this always happens. It differs in intensity, but it always happens. So this is a pattern. It's a sequence. It's a repetition of a certain sequence. It always happens, always the same, always discomforting. The consequence is I need to get out. I need to get out of the situation. I don't like this. I need to do anything I can to get away from this, which is a very normal reaction, but it leads to a few behaviors of me that I can't say I'm too proud of, but it happens. You know, it might sound logical why I do it, but if I had a conscious choice, I rather won't do it. To get out of the situation, I will either run away from the situation, not necessarily literally, like I'm running away from the situation, but Sometimes it does happen that I walk away from a situation, not resolving anything, but I want to get away from the situation because it's too much for me. But I can also change the subject, try to change the subject, or try to change the blame. You know, I feel like someone is blaming me for something, someone is dissatisfied with me, someone has a criticism about me. I'm really sensitive to this. So this is some options I have. I can run away from the situation, or I can defend my case, like I'm a lawyer. I'm defending my case. I'm saying like, no, you don't understand me. I feel really attacked by you. You know, you don't understand me. Me, me. Always goes around me. Yeah, blah 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 blah. I will just keep talking, making shit up to get away from this feeling. I don't like this feeling. It's like this feeling is somehow controlling me, very ironically. Anyways, the consequence of this is that there's just no space, no room anymore to understand why someone is saying something to me. Okay, sometimes someone actually tries to control you. Sometimes someone is actually just, jealous of you, probably because of their pattern, giving you the hurt. But it's not always this case. Actually, a lot of the times, people can just be dissatisfied with you because you did something. You're human, you're not perfect. Someone is dissatisfied with you, or someone has criticism about what you did, even though you try to do it well, so it hurts. But it can be true criticism, like sincerely something someone says to you. Um, but yeah, it just leaves no room anymore for understanding, and this creates a sin. This creates a sin. And what do I mean with sin? Sinning for me is just, we talk about love and understanding, and if you don't have any room anymore to understand someone else, it's sinning, be it big or small. For me, it's a sin. It's kind of to there's love, and you go that way. It's to miss it. You're not loving, you're sinning. And like I said, and I keep expressing this because it's very very true that sinning is not only like these big evil things, like corruption is not always in a very big situation, or it can be very small too. It can be very small, but adding these small things up to each other can create hurt. It can create hurt. So this is my pattern as I understand it right now. Now, like I said, everyone carries their own pattern, causing them discomfort. It's coming from somewhere, this pattern, and this pattern is probably instilled in us by pain, by hurt. You come into this world, and things are not perfect. You get hurt. Maybe it's your mom and dad that you're really close with when you start this journey on earth. Maybe you're growing up with your grandpa or your grandma. I don't know. These are all humans. They're not perfect, and you are not perfect. So they will have certain behaviors, and you will feel them, and you will be either like, I don't like this, attacking, or you will go away. This all really really complex. But in the end, it creates a pattern. So this pattern is created from pain, and when this pattern is triggered, it creates pain. It's like this cycle, this vicious cycle. Um, and I'm really starting to see it clearly, how it is happening. So a pattern is created by hurt, and a pattern will cause more hurt, like I said in the beginning of this video. And I'd like to end this video by quoting, may sound a little bit corny, but I want to quote The Weeknd, Abel Tesfaye, in his last song he made, Hurry Up Tomorrow. You know, in the album is also the song called Hurry Up Tomorrow. You may think like, okay, whatever, but I feel like it's really speaks to this situation. You know, he says, "Wash me with your fire. Who else has to pay for my sins? I want to change. I want the pain no more." And I just feel really connected to these sentences, because I'm just done. I'm done creating pain in people. I'm done. Such a shame that, you know, it's such a subconscious happening. You don't feel like you have control over it, especially in relationships. This is so hard. Like romantic relationships, it's such a mirror, you know. If someone is dissatisfied with you, it can feel so personal and it can feel so gnarly. Yeah, I think it's really important that as a human, you know, you try to understand this situation in yourself. I call it a pattern because this is how I like to see it. You don't have to call it a pattern. You can call it something else. I don't know, whatever you want. I'm not here to control you. I'm not here to control you. For me, it's a pattern. Damn, Mount Fuji is beautiful. For me, it's not a pattern. It is a pattern, sorry. It is a pattern. I see it clearly how this just, you know, the cycle of pain. And I feel this is maybe, right now, I feel this might be, you know, maybe the most important thing a human can do is to realize this pattern in themselves and try to work with it. I feel like lately I've been making steps in this, you know, instead of always defending my case. Someone is dissatisfied with me. I feel this coming up and it's always the same damn thing. It's always the same feeling. And now I know, I'm so conscious of it. Know when this feeling arises, I know like, okay, this is me, this is my pattern. This is not you actually attacking me, because this feels different. You know, I've been physically attacked in my life. I've been robbed. I've seen some things, you know, not to say like, ooh, wow, so bad. Like, I don't want to say like I'm a victim or anything, but I use this to explain to you like, this does not really cause that pattern. It's different. It's pure adrenaline which comes out when you're really attacked, when you're really being controlled by someone. But this feeling, this pattern, you know, my belly, I know it instantly, like, bam, okay, this is my pattern. And even though I really want to attack the other person, and it feels right to do it as well, because I'm hurting, I need to defend myself. It feels right to attack the other person, even though it feels this way. I try to take a step back, and I try to really try to understand where this person is coming from, and usually it takes some time to you know, let this calm down. But I really feel that if I don't give this pattern power over me, over my behavior, and I try to understand where this other person is coming from, I will look back at the situation, called the trigger of my pattern, and I will look back at it, and I will see like, yeah, she has a point. She has a point, and it's not even bad. Like she's just saying boundaries, but yeah, I think I've gone on for long enough. I just felt like making this video because I'm in the middle of dealing with this. Not even dealing, of experiencing this transformation. I hope this continues. I hope this. I can, I have to be really conscious about this. It's not really something that happens by itself. It's not easy to do this, but I feel like this is really maybe the most important thing I'm doing in my life right now. And I was just thinking, it's a nice view. I can make a nice video. Life is not that hectic right now. I'm on vacation. I don't have to deal with work. I can focus on this, and I was just thinking, might as well make a video. So that's why. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you got something from it. Hope it can make you think about some things, feel about some things. I know I'm feeling a lot of things. Yeah. This is also morphing, and this is also being. So, morph well, be well, and I'll catch you in the next one.